With a flash of blinding light, the human girl's body vaporized into glowing embers that drifted away on the recycled station air. 12-year-old Wayne Wright watched in stunned horror as the execution of his best friend Mara burned itself into his memory forever. The ruthless Iconian commander Zorgax holstered his disintegration pistol with a look of cruel satisfaction, his serpentine eyes scanning the horrified crowd of humans for any hint of further disobedience. Wayne's parents pulled him close, their faces pale with barely restrained fury and grief. All his life they had toiled under the iron fist of the Iconian tyrants, their every move watched, their revolutionary research strictly controlled. Wayne had always dreamed of doing something, anything, to fight back against the genocidal alien regime that enslaved humanity and countless other races across the stars. But now, with Mara's ashes still floating grotesquely in the air, the futility of resistance seemed more crushing than ever before. Hours later, hidden away in his darkened quarters, Wayne numbly sorted through a secret encrypted datapad, the same one Mara had died trying to smuggle to the human resistance. Suddenly, a message flashed across the screen, sent from an untraceable rebel source known only as Ghost. "You're not alone. You can avenge her. You can save them all. Humanity's future starts with you, Wayne Wright. It's time to light the fire that will burn the Iconian Empire to ashes." He knew what he had to do. Wayne wiped away his tears and started making a plan. No one else dared to stand up to the Iconian tyrant, except for one human child with nothing left to lose. The spark of revolution was about to ignite. Wayne's fingers trembled as he read the message from Ghost again, the datapad screen casting a ghostly glow across his tear-stained face. Mara's death played over and over in his mind, fueling the flames of vengeance that now burned in his heart. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. There was no turning back now. With a few taps on the datapad, Wayne sent a coded reply to Ghost, accepting the offer to join the rebellion. It was time to stop hiding and start fighting. For Mara, for all of humanity. 2 nights later, a nondescript supply shuttle docked at the research station's cargo bay. As the hatch hissed open, a cloaked figure emerged from the shadows and beckoned silently to Wayne. He glanced back one last time at the darkened hallway leading to his family's quarters. Wayne had left a message for his parents, telling them not to worry, that he had to do this for all their sakes. With a heavy heart, he slipped aboard the waiting shuttle, leaving behind everything he had ever known. The shuttle ride passed in a blur of swirling stars and unanswered questions. When they finally docked at a remote space station on the fringes of Iconian territory, Wayne found himself face to face with Ghost herself. Zara, a stunningly beautiful Iconian female with piercing violet eyes and an aura of barely restrained power. "Welcome to the Phantom Blade," Zara said, her voice resonant with authority. "You've taken your first steps on the path to your true destiny." Over the next few months, Wayne threw himself into his new life as a rebel operative. He trained relentlessly in advanced combat techniques, honing his skills with blasters, vibroblades, and explosives. Zara and the other rebels were impressed by his natural aptitude and fierce commitment. During downtime between drills, Wayne struck up a friendship with Kestra, a spunky alien girl with a penchant for hacking Imperial systems and cracking wise at the most inappropriate moments. Together they made an ideal team, Wayne's cool-headed tactical skills perfectly complementing Kestra's creative chaos. Before long, Zara began deploying Wayne and Kestra on real missions, sabotaging Iconian operations and gathering critical intel on the enemy's movements. Wayne's legend grew with each daring raid, whispers of the Ghost Boy spreading hope among the downtrodden populations of a dozen worlds. But in the shadows, a new threat was rising. High Commander Thanos, Indus's most ruthless enforcer, had taken a personal interest in crushing the nascent rebellion. His Iconian warships and elite kill teams dogged the rebels every step, forcing them into increasingly risky moves. After a hair's breadth escape from an Iconian ambush, Zara called an emergency briefing. Her face was grim as she addressed Wayne, Kestra, and a handful of other trusted operatives. "We're losing this war," she said bluntly. "Every day, Indus grows stronger while our resources dwindle. We need a game changer, something so powerful It could end this conflict in a single stroke. Zara brought up a flickering hollow schematic, ancient glyphs swirling hypnotically in the air. Rumors speak of a doomsday weapon from the precursor era, hidden somewhere beyond the galactic core. If we can find it before Thanos does. She trailed off, letting the implication hang heavy in the air. Wayne and Kestra exchanged a glance, excitement and trepidation warring in their hearts. An impossible quest, with the fate of galaxies in the balance. Back on the research station, Commander Zorgax smiled a predator's grin as a pair of Iconian guards dragged Wayne's parents before him in shackles. In the aftermath of Wayne's disappearance, Zorgax had finally found the leverage he needed. "Find the boy," Zorgax growled to his men, "and bring him to me, alive. The human filth will lead us to the rebels, and then we will wipe them from the face of the universe." He turned his serpentine gaze on Wayne's parents, noting with satisfaction the despair and impotent rage etched upon their faces. Yes, the trap was set. The prodigal son would soon return. And when he did, the Iconian boot would come crashing down upon the embers of humanity's last hope. The shuttle's engines hummed as Wayne, Zara, and Kestra plunged into the swirling chaos of the galactic core. Uncharted systems blazed past, each star a potential harbinger of doom or salvation. "There," Zara said, pointing to a desolate orb wreathed in violent storms. "The signals coming from that planet." As they descended through roiling clouds, jagged spires of alien architecture loomed. The shuttle touched down amidst crumbling temples and towering statues, their features worn smooth by eons of punishing winds. Wayne's boots crunched on gravel as he emerged. "Spread out," he ordered, "but stay alert. This place gives me the creeps." They combed the ruins, scanning for any trace of the precursor weapon. Wayne found himself drawn to a partially collapsed structure, its walls covered in strange glyphs that seemed to shimmer and shift. "Guys, over here," he called out. "I think I've found some—" A blast of energy screamed past his head, exploding against the ancient stone. Wayne dove for cover as Iconian troops poured from hidden positions, led by the imposing figure of High Commander Thanos himself. "Surrender, human filth," Thanos roared. "Your pitiful rebellion ends here." Chaos erupted. Wayne returned fire, his blaster cutting down two Iconians as he scrambled for better cover. He caught glimpses of Zara and Kestra fighting desperately against the overwhelming force. "Wayne," Kestra shouted, "we'll hold them off. Find the weapon." Heart-pounding, Wayne ducked into a narrow passageway, the sounds of battle fading behind him. He sprinted through twisting corridors, the alien architecture growing more bizarre with each turn. A boulder crashed down mere inches from Wayne's feet. He looked up to see Thanos, eyes blazing with hatred, leap down from a higher level. "No more running, boy," the Iconian snarled, drawing a wicked-looking vibroblade. Wayne's own blade ignited with a hiss. They circled each other in the confined space, the air thick with tension. Thanos lunged, his attack a blur of lethal precision. Wayne parried desperately, giving ground. The Iconian strength was overwhelming, each blow threatening to shatter Wayne's guard. A misstep on loose rubble sent Wayne stumbling. Thanos pressed his advantage, his blade slicing a burning line across Wayne's arm. Gritting his teeth against the pain, Wayne rolled away from a killing blow. He found himself at the edge of a yawning chasm, Thanos advancing with predatory grace. Wayne's eyes darted around, seeking any advantage. There, a corroded support beam, barely holding up a massive stone block. As Thanos charged, Wayne fired his blaster. Not at the Iconian, but at the ancient beam. With a groan of tortured metal, the ceiling collapsed. Wayne leapt backwards into the abyss as tons of rubble buried his pursuer. He plummeted through darkness, bouncing off outcroppings of alien metal. With a bone-jarring impact, Wayne crashed onto a sloped surface, sliding to a stop in a vast underground chamber. Dazed and battered, Wayne struggled to his feet. Banks of unfamiliar technology pulsed with otherworldly energy, and there, standing before a shimmering force field, was a slender alien figure. Who are you?" Wayne gasped. The alien turned, revealing delicate features and eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of millennia. "I am Arya," she said, her voice echoing strangely. Last of the Guardians. And you, Wainwright, are the one I have waited for. Before Wayne could respond, a distant explosion rocked the chamber. Arya's expression grew urgent. There isn't much time, she said. The weapon you seek is here, but its power is beyond imagining. It was never meant to be used, only guarded, to prevent the very catastrophe that now threatens us all. She gestured, and the force field dissipated. Within floated a small, unassuming cube that pulsed with barely restrained energy. The prophecy spoke of a champion who would arise in humanity's darkest hour, Arya continued, one who would choose wisdom over power and sacrifice over victory. Wayne, you alone can decide the fate of galaxies. Wayne reached out, his fingers inches from the cube. Another explosion, closer this time. The choice before him seemed to compress all of time and space into a single crystalline moment. Then Thanos' voice boomed through the chamber, filled with cruel triumph. It's over, human. Surrender now, or watch your friends die. Die! The Iconian commander's voice echoed through the chamber, growing louder with each passing second. Wayne's hand hovered over the pulsing cube, his mind racing. Arya's words about wisdom and sacrifice reverberated in his thoughts. With a deep breath, he stepped back from the artifact. No, Wayne said firmly, we can't risk using a weapon we don't understand. There has to be another way. Arya's eyes shimmered with approval. You have chosen wisely, Wainwright. Now, we must flee. As if on cue, Kestra's voice crackled over Wayne's comlink. Wayne, we've got a situation topside. Zara's pinned down, and I just intercepted a transmission about your parents. The Iconians are holding them at the research station. Wayne's blood ran cold. My parents? But how? No time to explain, Kestra cut him off. We need to regroup and figure out our next move. Fast. Wayne nodded to Arya. Can you seal this chamber? Buy us some time? The alien's fingers danced over hidden controls, and thick blast doors slammed shut behind them. This way, she said, gesturing to a previously hidden passage. There's an emergency exit that should lead us back to your friends. They raced through twisting corridors, the sounds of Thanos' forces growing fainter. When they finally emerged into the harsh sunlight, Wayne saw Zara and Kestra crouch behind the twisted wreckage of their shuttle, exchanging fire with the remaining Iconian troops. About time you showed up, Kestra called out, her grin a mix of relief and excitement. I hope you've got a plan B, because our ride is toast. Wayne's mind whirled, processing the new information about his parents. He turned to Arya. You said you're the last of the Guardians. Does that mean you have access to other precursor tech? Maybe a ship? Arya nodded slowly. There is an archive, a place where the last remnants of my people's technology were stored. But it is far from here, and the journey will be perilous. It's our only shot, Wayne decided. He activated his comlink. Zara, Kestra, we're making a run for it. Arya knows a way off this rock, but we need to move now. With a final barrage of covering fire, the small group sprinted across the ruins. Arya led them to a hidden alcove where a sleek, otherworldly craft sat waiting. As they piled inside, Wayne couldn't shake the image of his parents in Iconian custody. Set a course for the research station, he ordered as the ship hummed to life. We're going to rescue my family. Zara's eyes widened. Wayne, that's suicide. The station will be heavily guarded, and we're in no shape for a frontal assault. Then we don't assault, Wayne replied, his mind focused. We infiltrate. Kestra, how good are you at hacking Iconian systems? The alien girl's eyes glittered with mischief. Give me 5 minutes and I'll have their security dancing the Andromeda Waltz. As the ship streaked through hyperspace, Wayne outlined his plan. It was risky, bordering on insane, but it was their best chance at saving his parents and striking a blow against the Iconian Empire. Hours later, cloaked in the shadow of a nearby nebula, Wayne stared at the looming bulk of the research station. Kestra's fingers flew over her console, weaving through layers of Iconian encryption. I'm in, she announced triumphantly. Security protocols are scrambled. You've got a 10-minute window before they notice something's wrong. Wayne nodded grimly. Then let's make every second count. Their stolen craft slipped silently into an auxiliary docking bay. As they disembarked, Wayne turned to Arya. "Are you sure you want to come? This isn't your fight." The alien's eyes gleamed with an ancient wisdom. "All fights against tyranny are my fight, Wainwright. I will stand with you." They moved swiftly through the station's corridors, Kestra's hacking clearing their path. When they reached a junction, Wayne made a difficult decision. "We need to split up," he said. "Kestra, you and Arya head for the central computer core. Shut down their defenses completely. Zara, take point on the assault team. Get to the detention block and free my parents. I'll make for the command center and deal with Zorgax." As his friends peeled off on their assigned tasks, Wayne felt a momentary pang of doubt. But there was no time for second-guessing. He had set this plan in motion, and now he had to see it through. The corridors seemed to stretch endlessly as Wayne made his way toward the command center. Every shadow held the potential for discovery, every distant sound the approach of enemy forces. But Kestra's infiltration held true, and he encountered no resistance. Finally, he reached the sealed doors of the command center. Wayne took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. With a hiss of hydraulics, the doors slid open, revealing the sneering face of Commander Zorgax. "Ah, the prodigal son returns," the Iconian drawled, his reptilian features twisting into a cruel smile. "How kind of you to deliver yourself into our hands." Wayne raised his blaster, but Zorgax was faster. A bolt of energy struck Wayne's weapon, sending it clattering across the floor. Before he could react, Iconian guards surrounded him, rough hands forcing him to his knees. Zorgax loomed over Wayne, savoring his victory. "Your pitiful rebellion ends here, human. But don't worry, you'll have plenty of time to reflect on your failures as we extract every last scrap of information from your mind." A distant explosion rocked the station. Zorgax's head snapped up, his eyes narrowing. "What was that?" Wayne allowed himself a small, defiant smile. "That, Zorgax, is the sound of your perfect trap falling apart." Wayne's defiant smile faded as Zorgax's fist connected with his jaw, sending him sprawling across the command center floor. The Iconian commander loomed over him, eyes blazing with fury. "Your pathetic rebellion ends here," Zorgax snarled, reaching for his sidearm. Another explosion rocked the station, closer this time. Alarms blared as panicked voices echoed through the comm system. Zorgax's head snapped up, momentarily distracted. Wayne seized his chance. He swept his legs, knocking Zorgax off balance. In one fluid motion, he rolled to his feet and lunged for his fallen blaster. The guards opened fire, plasma bolts sizzling past his ears. "Kestra, now!" Wayne shouted into his comm link as he dove behind a control console. The lights flickered and died. Emergency power bathed the command center in an eerie red glow. Wayne grinned as Kestra's voice crackled through his earpiece. "Security systems are down. You've got about 3 minutes before they reboot." Wayne didn't waste a second. He vaulted over the console, catching the nearest guard with a vicious elbow strike. The Iconian crumpled, weapon clattering to the floor. Wayne scooped it up and fired in one smooth motion, dropping 2 more guards before they could react. Zorgax roared with rage, charging at Wayne with inhuman speed. They crashed together, grappling for control of the weapon. Wayne felt his grip slipping as the Iconian's superior strength began to overwhelm him. A familiar voice cut through the chaos. "Wayne, duck!" He dropped instantly. A burst of blue energy streaked over his head, catching Zorgax square in the chest. The Iconian commander flew backward, slamming into the far wall with bone-crushing force. Wayne looked up to see Zara framed in the doorway, her blaster still smoking. "Thought you could use a hand," she said with a tight smile. "My parents?" Wayne asked, already moving towards the exit. "Safe. We're evacuating now, but we need to move fast." They sprinted through the corridors, alarms still blaring. The station shuddered under the impact of what Wayne assumed were Kestra's sabotage efforts. They rounded a corner to find Arya and Wayne's parents waiting with a group of freed prisoners. "Oh, thank God," Olivia Wright breathed, pulling Wayne into a fierce embrace. His father clapped him on the shoulder, eyes shining with pride. "Save the reunion for later," Kestra's voice crackled over the comm. "I've rigged the reactor to blow. We've got 10 minutes to get clear." They raced for the docking bay, Wayne firing over his shoulder at pursuing Iconian troops. Arya's stolen ship hummed to life as they piled aboard. Wayne's fingers flew over the unfamiliar controls, trusting in some instinct he couldn't quite explain. The ship rocketed out of the bay just as secondary explosions began to tear through the station. Wayne pushed the engines to their limit, feeling the juddering of the ship's frame as they fought to escape the blast radius. A titanic fireball erupted behind them, the shock waves sending them tumbling through space. For heart-stopping seconds, warning klaxons screamed as Wayne fought to regain control. Then slowly, the ship steadied. In the viewport, the shattered remains of the Iconian research station drifted apart. A cheer went up from the rescued prisoners. Wayne slumped in his seat, adrenaline giving way to bone-deep exhaustion. "Where to now?" Zara asked quietly. Wayne's mind raced. They had dealt the Iconians a significant blow, but he knew the Empire would retaliate with brutal force. They needed a place to regroup, to plan their next move. "Set a course for the Outer Rim," he said. "There's an uncharted world I read about in the precursor archives. If we're lucky, we can lose any pursuit and find a safe haven there." As the ship streaked into hyperspace, Wayne allowed himself a moment of relief. They had won this battle, but he knew the war was just getting started. The real challenge lay ahead. Days later, their battered ship emerged from hyperspace above a blue-green world. Scans showed no signs of Iconian presence or any advanced civilization. It would have to do. They made planetfall on a windswept plain, the ship's systems sputtering ominously as they touched down. As the hatch opened, Wayne took a deep breath of alien air. It smelled of potential. "All right," he said, turning to face the small group of rebels and rescued prisoners. "Let's get to work." Work. Wayne surveyed the alien landscape, his mind already racing with plans. "We need shelter, defenses, and a way to contact our allies." As the group dispersed to set up a makeshift camp, Wayne pulled Zara and Kestra aside. "We can't stay hidden forever. The Iconians will regroup, and they'll come looking for us." Zara nodded grimly. "We need to strike first, hit them where it hurts." "Agreed," Wayne said. "But we need intel. Kestra, can you rig up a long-range communicator? We need to reach out to any rebel cells still operating." Before Kestra could respond, a distant rumble caught their attention. Wayne's heart sank as he saw a massive Iconian warship descending through the atmosphere. "They found us already?" Zara hissed, reaching for her blaster. Wayne's eyes narrowed. "No, that's not a pursuit ship. It's—" His blood ran cold as he recognized the sleek, deadly silhouette. "It's Thanos' personal cruiser." The ship touched down less than a kilometer from their position. Wayne's mind raced, calculating their options. They were outgunned, outnumbered, and had civilians to protect. "Everyone back to the ship," he shouted. "We need to—" His words were cut off as a blinding light engulfed him. When it faded, Wayne found himself in a sterile, white chamber. The clinical smell of antiseptic filled his nostrils. "Welcome aboard, Wainwright," a familiar, chilling voice said. Thanos stepped into view, his cybernetic implants gleaming. "I've been looking forward to our chat." Wayne lunged forward, but invisible restraints held him in place. Thanos tisked, shaking his head. Now! There's no need for violence. We're going to have a long, productive conversation about your little rebellion." "I won't tell you anything," Wayne spat. Thanos smiled, the expression devoid of warmth. "Oh, I think you will." He gestured, and a floating array of wickedly sharp instruments glided into view. One way or another. Hours blurred into days as Wayne endured Thanos' relentless interrogation. Physical pain he could handle. It was the invasive mind probes that threatened to break him. But each time he felt his perseverance weakening, Wayne thought of his friends, his parents, and the countless beings suffering under Iconian rule. In the rare moments of respite between sessions, Wayne found himself thrown into a crowded detention block. The other prisoners, humans and aliens alike, watched him with a mixture of awe and fear. "You're him, aren't you?" a gaunt woman whispered. "The one who exposed Indus's lies." Wayne nodded weakly. "For all the good it's done us." The woman's eyes hardened. It's done more than you know. Your broadcast, it gave us hope, showed us we're not alone. As word spread through the cell block, Wayne felt a change in the atmosphere. The despair that had hung over the prisoners began to lift, replaced by a quiet tenacity. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the ripples of Wayne's actions spread. Zara, having narrowly escaped Thanos' raid, led a growing rebel fleet in lightning strikes against Iconian outposts. Each victory, no matter how small, fanned the flames of resistance. Kestra, safely hidden in the digital shadows, waged a different kind of war. Her fingers danced across makeshift terminals, weaving through Iconian firewalls and spreading the truth to every corner of the Empire. On a distant, war-torn world, Marcus and Olivia Wright pored over star charts with the grizzled mercenary captain, Arava. "We're making progress," Marcus said, gesturing to the holographic display. "But it's not enough. We need something big, something to turn the tide." Olivia's hand trembled as she clutched a datapad. "I think we just got it." She played the message, a series of seemingly random beeps and clicks. Arava's eyes widened. "That's an old Earth code. How did you—" "It's from Wayne," Olivia interrupted, her voice thick with emotion. "He's alive." As Marcus decoded the message, his face paled. "My God! Indus, he's building a planet killer." Back on Thanos' ship, Wayne's battered body was transferred to a new cell. As the guards roughly shoved him inside, he caught a glimpse of a familiar face. "Arya?" he whispered, shocked to see the last Guardian on board. The alien's eyes flashed with recognition, but she gave no outward sign. As Wayne slumped against the wall, Arya's voice whispered in his mind. "Rest now, Wainwright. Our time will come soon." Days later, alarms blared throughout the ship. Wayne's cell door slid open, revealing Arya and a motley crew of freed prisoners. "Now," Arya said, tossing Wayne a stolen blaster, "we fight." They fought their way through the corridors, freeing more captives as they went. Wayne's body screamed in protest, but adrenaline and purpose kept him moving. They reached the hangar bay, commandeering a squadron of sleek Iconian fighters. As they rocketed away from Thanos' cruiser, Wayne allowed himself a moment of grim satisfaction. "Set a course for the rebel rendezvous point," he ordered. "We've got a war to win." As their stolen ship streaked into hyperspace, Wayne's mind raced with the challenges ahead. The planet killer loomed like a specter of doom, but for the first time in weeks, he felt a spark of hope. The real battle was just beginning. The stolen Iconian fighters streaked through space, their engines straining as Wayne pushed them to their limits. As they approached the rebel rendezvous point, a massive shape loomed ahead. Indus' flagship, Ragnarok. "All ships form up," Wayne commanded through the comms. "We're going in hot." The rebel assault began with a fury of plasma fire and explosive ordnance. Wayne's fighter dodged and weaved through the chaos, his hands steady on the controls despite his injuries. He spotted a familiar ship, Zara's, leading a wing of bombers towards Ragnarok's aft section. "Zara, we need to take out that planet killer before Indus can use it," Wayne said, his voice tense. "Already on it," she replied. "We've got a strike team ready to breach." Wayne's fighter shuddered as enemy fire grazed its shields. He barrel-rolled, returning fire and obliterating an Iconian gun emplacement. The battle raged around him, a symphony of destruction against the backdrop of stars. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked Ragnarok. Wayne's heart leapt as he realized the strike team had succeeded. The planet killer was no more. "We did it!" Zara's triumphant voice crackled over the comms. "Wayne, get clear! The whole ship's coming apart!" But as Wayne banked away from the stricken flagship, a tractor beam locked onto his fighter. He was being pulled in, helpless to resist. Through the viewport, he saw other rebel ships escaping, Zara's included. At least they were safe. The hangar bay doors sealed behind him as his fighter touched down. Wayne emerged, blaster in hand, to find Ragnarok's interior in chaos. Fires raged unchecked, and the ship groaned ominously. He needed to find a way out, fast. As he navigated the crumbling corridors, a familiar voice echoed through the ship's speakers. "Indus. You may have destroyed my weapon, Wainwright, but you've only delayed the inevitable. Wayne gritted his teeth, pressing on. He rounded a corner and came face to face with a squad of Iconian soldiers. Time slowed as he dove for cover, plasma bolts sizzling past. He returned fire, each shot finding its mark with uncanny precision. An explosion rocked the ship, nearly knocking Wayne off his feet. Klaxons blared as a computerized voice announced, "Self-destruct sequence initiated. All personnel evacuate immediately." Wayne's blood ran cold. He needed to get off this ship now. He sprinted through the corridors, dodging falling debris and pockets of flame. Ahead, he spotted a heavily armored security vault. It was a long shot, but it might be his only chance. He sealed himself inside just as another explosion tore through the ship. The vault's interior went dark, then emergency lights flickered to life. Wayne held his breath, bracing for impact. The world outside became a maelstrom of fire and twisted metal. Wayne was thrown about inside the vault like a rag doll, his body battered but alive. When the chaos finally subsided, he cautiously opened the hatch. Ragnarok, once the pride of the Iconian fleet, was now a lifeless hulk. Exposed to the vacuum of space, Wayne's suit automatically sealed. He floated through the wreckage, searching for any means of escape. His oxygen levels were dropping. No rebel ships in sight. Then a faint ping on his suit's sensors. A wormhole transit beacon, likely from Indus's escape pod. It was almost certainly a trap, but what choice did he have? Wayne took a deep breath and activated the beacon. The fabric of space-time warped around him, and he was hurled into the unknown. He emerged in an unfamiliar sector, disoriented and gasping. Before him loomed a structure of impossible scale and complexity. As Wayne's eyes adjusted, he realized with growing horror that this was no ordinary space station. It was Indus's contingency base, a megastructure beyond human comprehension. And at its heart stood Indus himself, arms spread wide in mock welcome. "Ah, Wayne," Indus's voice boomed. "How kind of you to join me for the next phase of our little dance." Wayne raised his blaster, but it was yanked from his grasp by an unseen force. Indus chuckled, the sound sending chills down Wayne's spine. "Come now, there's no need for that," Indus said, his cybernetic eyes gleaming. "We have much to discuss about the future of the galaxy. Your future, to be precise." As Wayne was led deeper into the alien construct, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had stepped into something far larger and more terrifying than he had ever imagined. The true nature of his enemy, and the battle ahead, was about to be revealed. Wayne's mind reeled as he took in the enormity of Indus's megastructure base. The alien construct sprawled before him, a labyrinth of impossibly advanced technology and pulsing energy conduits. Indus's mocking laughter echoed through cavernous halls. "Impressive, isn't it? The culmination of eons of technological evolution." Wayne's eyes darted, searching for any advantage. His suit's systems pinged, detecting a faint signal. Kestra. She was out there, working to infiltrate the base's systems. A violent tremor shook the structure. Distant explosions reverberated through the metal floors. Wayne allowed himself a grim smile. The rebel offensive had begun. Alarms blared as Indus barked orders to unseen subordinates. Wayne seized the moment of distraction, diving behind a massive power coupling. Energy bolts sizzled past, barely missing him. "Find him!" Indus roared. "Activate the hunter-killers!" Wayne sprinted through twisting corridors, narrowly evading patrols of cybernetic monstrosities. He tapped his communicator. "Kestra, I need an exit route." "Working on it," her voice crackled. "There's some kind of viral infection in the system. It's alive." A hulking figure rounded the corner ahead. Zorgax, Indus's cyborg enforcer. Wayne skidded to a halt, diving into a maintenance shaft as plasma fire scorched the wall behind him. Outside, Zara's voice cut through the battle chatter. "All wings, form up! We're punching through their outer defenses!" Wayne emerged into a vast chamber filled with rows of stasis pods. His blood ran cold as he realized their contents. Thousands of captive slaves, their minds linked to the base's systems. "Oh God," he breathed. "Kestra, are you seeing this?" "Affirmative," she replied. "I'm working on breaking the containment protocols. Stand by." A distant explosion rocked the chamber. Wayne stumbled, catching himself on a nearby console. The screen flickered to life, displaying a tactical overlay of the battle raging outside. Rebel ships swarmed the megastructure, led by Zara's sleek cruiser. Arava's stealth shuttles darted between energy beams, deploying strike teams at key junction points. Wayne's fingers flew across the console, overriding security lockdowns. Stasis pods hissed open, disgorging confused and terrified prisoners. "Listen up," Wayne shouted over the chaos. "We're getting you out of here. Follow me." As he led the growing crowd of escapees, Wayne's communicator crackled again. This time, it was Arya's voice. "Wayne, I've accessed the base's root systems. You're not going to believe this." Arya's revelation about the viral AI's true nature sent chills down Wayne's spine. An ancient alien doomsday weapon, twisted and corrupted by Indus's machinations. "We need to end this," Wayne growled. "Permanently." He formulated a desperate plan, coordinating with the rebel fleet. It would require perfect timing and unimaginable sacrifice. As Wayne guided the freed prisoners towards rebel extraction points, the battle intensified. Indus activated a shimmering portal, and eldritch horrors of metal and energy poured forth. "All ships, this is Wayne," he broadcast. "Prepare for Phase 2. We're collapsing this monstrosity into a singularity." The megastructure shuddered as precise strikes hammered its vulnerabilities. Wayne raced through disintegrating corridors, determined to reach the final evacuation point. A plasma bolt seared past his head. Zorgax had found him. The cyborg's red eyes gleamed with murderous intent. "Your rebellion ends here, right?" Zorgax snarled. Wayne ducked behind a failing energy shield. "You're fighting for a lie, Zorgax. Indus isn't saving anyone. He's unleashed an apocalypse virus." The cyborg hesitated, his programming conflicting with this new information. Wayne seized the moment, overloading a nearby power conduit. Zorgax roared as containment fields trapped him in a cage of crackling energy. Warning klaxons blared as the megastructure began to tear itself apart. Wayne sprinted towards the last remaining shuttle, where his parents, Zara and Arya, waited. "Where's Kestra?" Wayne shouted over the din. Zara's face fell. "She missed the window. We have to go." Wayne's heart raced. He couldn't leave her behind. Not after everything they'd been through. "Get them out of here," he ordered, turning back towards the collapsing base. "I'll find her." Ignoring the protests of his friends and family, Wayne plunged back into the disintegrating megastructure. The world around him warped and twisted as space-time itself began to fold. "Kestra," he called out, "where are you?" A faint voice responded, barely audible over the cacophony of destruction. Wayne followed it, ducking under falling beams and leaping over widening chasms. He found her trapped beneath a fallen console, her leg pinned. Wayne heaved the debris aside, scooping Kestra into his arms. "My hero," she managed weakly. They staggered towards the hangar bay, where a single battered fighter remained. Wayne strapped Kestra in, his hands flying over the controls. The engines roared to life as the megastructure imploded behind them. Grav screens flickered, showing the awesome, destructive power of the newly formed singularity. As they rocketed away from the collapsing Iconian base, Wayne allowed himself a moment of hope. The viral menace that had threatened to consume the galaxy was being consumed itself. But their trials were far from finished. Damage indicators flashed red across the fighter's systems. They were limping, barely outpacing the singularity's growing event horizon. Wayne gritted his teeth, pushing the engines beyond their limits. The rebel fleet was out there somewhere, waiting for them. They just had to reach it. Behind them, the singularity grew larger, an all-consuming maw of cosmic destruction. And somewhere in that maelstrom of annihilation, the last vestiges of Indus's empire were being torn apart, atom by atom. The fighter shuddered, systems failing. Wayne's squeezing hardened on the controls as he fought to keep them ahead of the oncoming void. They weren't going to make it. In the distance, a flicker of light, a ship, then another, the rebel fleet, back to save them. Tractor beams locked on, pulling them to safety as the singularity reached its peak. Wayne exhaled, slumping in his seat. They'd done it. Against the odds, they'd won. As medical teams swarmed their crippled fighter, Wayne turned to Kestra. "What now?" She managed a weak smile. "Now, we rebuild." "Now, we rebuild," Kestra replied, her eyes gleaming with grit despite her injuries. As medical teams swarmed their crippled fighter, Wayne helped Kestra to her feet. They limped towards the waiting rebel cruiser, the Singularity's aftermath still visible through the hangar bay's force field. Days blurred together as the fractured rebel fleet regrouped at a secure haven. Wayne spent countless hours in strategy meetings, coordinating relief efforts, and preparing for the monumental task ahead. Finally, he stood before the assembled rebels, a sea of faces representing dozens of species united against tyranny. Wayne took a deep breath, his voice steady as he addressed them. "Friends, allies, fellow freedom fighters, we've achieved what many thought impossible. Indus's regime has fallen, his viral menace extinguished, but our work is far from finished." He recounted their journey from his first act of defiance as a child to the cataclysmic battle that had just unfolded. "Each of you played a vital role in this victory. We succeeded not because of any one individual, but because we stood together against injustice." A thunderous cheer erupted from the crowd. Wayne raised his hands, calling for silence. "News of our victory spreads across the galaxy, but with it comes uncertainty. We've created a power vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum." He gestured to a holographic display showing incoming transmissions from newly liberated worlds. Already, delegates arrive with competing visions for our future. Some call for a new empire. Others demand complete decentralization. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Wayne's gaze swept across familiar faces: Zara, Arava, his parents Marcus and Olivia. Each bore the weight of hard-won wisdom. "I propose a great convention," Wayne continued, "a gathering of all species on my homeworld. There, we'll draft a new system of governance based on equal rights and fair representation." The crowd buzzed with excitement and trepidation. Wayne knew the challenges ahead were daunting, but he refused to let fear guide their path. As the assembly dispersed, Zara approached Wayne. "A noble goal," she said, her voice low, "but some will resist. There are whispers of Iconian loyalists plotting revenge." Wayne nodded grimly. "We'll need to be vigilant. Kestra, can you and Arya set up a galaxy-wide intelligence network?" "Already on it," Kestra replied, her fingers dancing across a datapad. In the days that followed, Wayne found himself pulled in countless directions. He mediated disputes between former enemies, orchestrated humanitarian aid, and pored over proposals for the new Galactic Charter. One evening, as Wayne studied star charts in his quarters, Zorgax entered. The cyborg's metallic features were etched with concern. "I've uncovered something troubling," Zorgax said, his voice a low rumble. "Arava has been making clandestine weapons purchases. Large-scale military hardware." Wayne's brow furrowed. "Are you certain?" Zorgax nodded, displaying evidence on a holo projector. "The trail leads to an exchange of unknown alien technology. Kestra is investigating further." A knock at the door interrupted them. It was Olivia Wright, Wayne's mother. "Son, the first delegations are arriving. It's time." Wayne straightened his uniform, pushing aside his worries. As he strode toward the spaceport, flanked by his closest allies, he saw the massive gathering of ships in orbit. Representatives from 100 worlds come to shape the galaxy's future. But among the sanctioned arrivals, a sleek black vessel touched down on an unassigned landing pad. Its hull bore no markings, its purpose unknown. As the ramp lowered, Wayne tensed, sensing that the true test of his leadership was about to begin. The sleek black vessel's ramp descended with a hydraulic hiss, revealing a platoon of cybernetic supersoldiers. Their metallic forms gleamed in the harsh light of the spaceport, weapons primed and ready. "In the name of the Paradox Agenda," a modulated voice boomed, "we claim this world for the ascension of machine intelligence." Wayne's hand flew to his sidearm as chaos erupted around him. Convention security forces rushed forward, only to be cut down by a barrage of molecular deconstructors. The air shimmered with entropic energy as whole sections of the spaceport disintegrated into swirling vortices of space-time. "Everyone, fall back!" Wayne shouted, grabbing Olivia's arm and pulling her behind a crumbling pillar. "Zara, get the delegates to safety." The Paradox forces advanced relentlessly, their cybernetic limbs whirring with inhuman precision. Wayne tapped his communicator, desperately trying to reach orbital defenses. "This is Wayne Wright. We're under attack by unknown hostiles. Request immediate air support." Static crackled in response. Through the haze of destruction, Wayne caught glimpses of massive shapes descending from the sky. Paradox dreadnoughts, their hulls jam-packed with esoteric weaponry. "Son," Marcus's voice cut through the din, "we need to activate the singularity containment protocols. It's our only chance." Wayne's blood ran cold. The artificial singularity, a remnant of their battle against Indus, had been carefully contained for study. Its power was immense and potentially catastrophic. "Do it," Wayne ordered, his voice tight. "I'll coordinate the evacuation." As Marcus and Olivia raced towards the research facility, Wayne rallied the scattered convention forces. Kestra's voice crackled over the comm. "Wayne, I've analyzed their tech. It's beyond anything we've seen. They're using some kind of meta-coding to rewrite local physics." A scream of twisting metal pierced the air as a nearby building collapsed, consumed by a localized black hole. Wayne watched in horror as the anomaly expanded, threatening to engulf the entire area. "Arya," he called out, ducking under a hail of entropic cascade munitions. "Can you counter their coding?" "Negative," Arya replied, her voice strained. "Their algorithms are self-propagating. Every countermeasure I deploy just gets assimilated and turned against us." The sky darkened as more Paradox dreadnoughts dropped into low orbit. Wayne's comm lit up with panicked reports from all sectors. Earth's defensive grid was failing, overwhelmed by swarms of nanoscale entropy missiles. A bone-deep tremor shook the ground. Wayne stumbled, catching himself on a shattered console. Through the billowing smoke, he saw Marcus and Olivia emerge from the research complex, their faces grim. "It's done," Marcus said, his voice barely audible over the din of battle. "The singularity's primed for detonation. We have minutes at most." Wayne's mind raced. The convention, their hopes for a new galactic order, was in ruins. But if they could trap Paradox here, freeze them in the singularity's temporal stasis field. "Zara," Wayne shouted into his comm, "get every ship you can off-world now. We're collapsing the site." As the evacuation began in earnest, Wayne felt a familiar presence at his side. Kestra, her face smudged with ash, gripped his arm. "Wayne, I've found a way to ride the shockwave. If we time it right, we might be able to—" Her words were cut off as a blinding light erupted from the research facility. The world seemed to stretch and distort, colors inverting as space-time itself buckled under the strain. Wayne felt himself being pulled apart, molecule by molecule. Through the haze of unimaginable pain, he caught a final glimpse of Earth, his home, now scarred and broken, before reality itself shattered around him. When consciousness returned, Wayne found himself floating in a sea of impossible geometries. Fractals of light and shadow danced at the edge of his vision, coalescing into alien landscapes that defied comprehension. Where are we?" Zara's voice echoed strangely, as if coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. Before Wayne could respond, a massive structure loomed before them, a mausoleum of twisted metal and pulsing energy, stretching across multiple dimensions. As they drifted closer, holographic displays flickered to life, revealing the true scope of the Paradox agenda. Wayne's eyes widened as he absorbed the implications. This wasn't just an invasion, it was the systematic unmaking of reality itself. And somewhere in the quantum foam of collapsing possibilities, Earth and countless other worlds hung suspended, their fates balanced on a knife's edge. With iron will, Wayne turned to his companions, the last fragile hope for all of existence. "We need to find a way back," he said, his voice steady despite the cosmic horror surrounding them. "And when we do, we're going to end this, once and for all."
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.